No, I heard those, but when I was talking, I mean.
Oh, the beans. No, you know, the giant.
Is that why all the British people are so evil? Because that's how beans talk.
Have you never heard of Jack, the famous?
Yeah, I've heard of Jack.
Not fresh. He's got beans, but not a giant or a bean.
He's putting beans on toast and making pictures of it for the
I don't think he's gone up to find a goose with a golden egg. Okay.
Have you? He says no.
Heroic versus BDS and Flores is gone. Taken off the board by BDS, who are very big fans of that operator, but to be honest, more and more people are becoming it, especially on a map like Chalet. Oh, you're thinking about the hole at the top of Blue Stairs, you're thinking about putting pressure onto Fireplace. It's just such a big potential drive around those little hop-in windows next to so much precious utility.
That's it, right? There's a lot of strong points that an RC Retiro just sneaking in could completely destroy and upset the entire hold width of the defense. And yes, BDS starts on the attack, so as just mentioned, they could leave it in technically, theoretically, if they wanted to rely on the operator themselves. However, have chosen to remove it. BDS is actually one of the only teams that we very often do see with the synergy in the team background cards. It's sometimes, you know, I mean, Navi had some issues with that at the start of it. Either way, we're headed towards that top floor, Emmy, and normally you do see a Frost coming out, or at least that is an operator that sees quite a lot of play. Not the case here. Instead, we do see a castle. It's going to be blocking off some of these lines of sides by closing the big windows. Shouldn't be too big of a trouble, though. There is a sledge on the board. Can just quickly rappel up, smack it open, or use some Excaras, or the Gun 6, for example.
Now, there was a little bit back and forth about how people thought this game was gonna go. We are in unison about the game before and the two games afterwards, but here there's a bit of a divide because Heroic have been playing very well. They currently sit second and BDS sit third, which is a little bit of a surprise why some people would still be back and forth because of it being BDS. But to be fair, BDS have sort of stumbled recently. They played one of their best games, the most recent Playday, but they had a couple of their worst the Playdays before. So time now to see if they can try and double down at stiff opposition against Heroic, who've been playing a very good series.
Knife's not really connecting here. Roll for Shaiko will eventually get after 6-7 attempts. Grenade actually used to open up the barricade. Doesn't want to go into rappel there, of course. Afraid of a potential run out from the trench. Not going to be happening here. As BDS is slowly starting to get control of library, of the games here as well. It seems like a library take and push is what they want to go for. So the player on those library stairs, that is going to be a very crucial take.
Quick bat of pressure here. Ben just got himself stacked up, and they've actually pulled away to sort of play against these long angles. Shaiko on that LMG is happy to take that fight all day, and Kogona, well, not. He pulls himself back, gets himself stacked up as more pressure comes over to the side of the balcony. They pop and pre-fire onto the angle and hope they catch somebody, but Heroic aren't overextending as of yet.
No, not quite yet. 2 minutes on the clock, and BDS have been given the entire southwest of the building as a bit of a gift here by Heroic, and that means that they can start working on opening up. Still some bouts of worry around on potential flanks to come through, and as pre-fires around the wall from Sloth are still present as well, they need to get rid of this player, of that half-wall pressure, and that might be done with a grenade sooner rather than later.
Here it is, good utility usage, and they're going to get themselves prepped and ready to go. A minute 20, and they're already popping open the angles that they need. There's the first bout, and a bit of a drop there. The drone is caught. They got to pull themselves back. The grenade around the close corners. BDS, they're being a bit relentless right now. They're making sure they have every aspect and angle covered. Shaiko's locked in on Kogona's almost the first victim. Just pulls himself to a bit of safety, but he's a bit of a tricky pick back up. They're going to have to try and put some pressure on the bounce of the grenades around, and it's a pick back up. The shield gets dropped, and that means the swing onto the site itself is going to be a bit easier.
Grizzly still below, though. You got to watch out for that flank. He might be coming up at the right timing here. If he will find Playday, that could be detrimental for the round. 45 seconds entry kill for a foul.
That's it. And you can see Alems was watching Grizzly, so he's going to pull back, go for a different rotate. In the meantime, Shaiko's watching the site. Uno gets caught out. Ranchiro's waiting for the moment. He can try and put a push now, but they're in a 5 versus 3. And Playday behind the half wall is going to try and stick the plant. A C4 underneath. Won't quite get the catch because, well, it's closer to the rotate itself. There is at least one from the cover of the window, and a flawless for BDS to open the pace here.
Yeah, this is going to be more like the BDS we usually see. And what happened in this round here is they wanted to take the library control, basically got given that. There were Heroic members there, but they quickly rotated out. And after that is just going to be your step-by-step plan, right? You want to open up that wall. Sloth, yes, went a bit aggressive here and there next to that half wall, trying to go for a bit of a spray, but wasn't quite able to connect anything. So they could just simply get the EMP in, go for the X-Carls, the opening is there, and suddenly it is not a safe position to play anymore. You just start locking off the angles one by one, and BDS able to find a success there due to, well, maybe the lack of actual contest coming in from the library side.
It was clean. It was so very clean. The approach there was so well put together, and we saw Alems had the watch in the rotation as well.
Yeah, of course, he opened it up. They were aware of the fact that a flank could be to come through. Didn't want to use, for example, a Nomad for that task. You know, if you have that man advantage, which they managed to pick up quite quickly, you set someone up that is able to watch it at least at the start of the execute or when the execute is still being set up. So when you can go eventually, you know your back is safe.
Now, the pickup of the Frost is going to be something that tries to slow the pace that was applied before the castle. Did nothing, so they are instead going to see if they can try and get a little bit width on a slightly different site. In fairness, now with the stretch and the protection, you've still got to make sure you have that second story covered and controlled. And, well, it seems like BDS want to go for the same approach. A bit of a quick break there onto a window, and a bit of two-story terror that's coming through the window onto the site itself. And Ranchiro on the far side cutting off that rotation. He just puts a little bit of the fear into Sloth. He pulls himself back, and with that little health, is probably going to think better of it.
And it's going to be a very dangerous one indeed. And again, we see a similar kind of take coming through, rightfully so, because the verticality is very strong on this side. You're going to be able to dispatch of a lot of the players and their strongholds if you do manage to get that top floor. So Sloth playing here is going to be absolutely crucial. I mean, Gorgona, of course, with that Frost, got tagged up a little bit. They know someone is inside the office now, and that means that pressure will soon start to arise. There's 2 minutes on the clock. There's plenty of time, especially when they use these EMPs to just open up whatever wall they want. There's nothing they have to stop that there. So, yeah, the Thatcher being open is definitely changing things here.
Wow, these grenades and bouts of pressure, they're working out and having the conversation of how do we pull this man out whilst also keeping the bits that we want, because to be fair, the land he's in is what we want. The drop and the rotation away, they've been able to open up the box. There's a little bit of sticking power here from Gorgona. He's going to see if he can try and lean in and find a fight in the opener, but as more of this wall starts to get popped open, he's able to almost strike. There's the connection. Takes care of Shaiko, drops himself back down. He's ready to go for another, but he's about to have a grenade meet him in a bit of a corner of a fate. There it is. Perfectly played as a response by Ranchiro, and now the pressure continues above.
ADS was out of reach there, unable to catch a line of sight onto that ADS, and that means it's a 4-on-4. A minute left, however. Suddenly the time ran quite low. Luckily, you lost Shaiko. It's not a sentence you very often say, so your execute could still happen. You still have the EMPs, you still have some X-Carls, and that means that with this exothermic, you're going to be able to open it up. You just need to find these skills. You just need to find Sloth, who's about to drop down due to the C4 in pocket. He can toss up to stop this plan from happening.
That's it. If he's underneath and they don't have the full lockdown, it can be a little bit of a big blow. Ranchiro, once again, making sure he gets a statistic back in their favor, but Benja has one of his own, a double kill. And now they're able to, for the first time, hold onto that man advantage and keep it for at least the 5-second window after they get the kill. Playday has a long sight line, but it's about to be pressured from above, and with Sloth underneath with a C4 ready to go as well, he just has to wait for the right call. Who knows, a bit of a backline. Benja's still super curious about this rotate. If he times this well, he can bite perfectly, and to be honest, with 15 seconds, it's about as well as it can be timed. The bings come through, the spray onto one, gets the triple. Now it's just a little bit of a drive onto the side. Playday doesn't get too far. Heroic, bring it back.
They bring it back 1-1, and well played by them there. They had one on side, one above, and one below. So they had everything covered there. The Nitro, if they wanted to go for a close plant. The smoke canisters wasted just enough time for Benja to go up for a bit of a flank through the back of the fireplace there. So well played by Heroic. And as they win that now will be locked, however. Instead of going back to the site they've previously played, or to go for bar, right towards Wine Cellar, the bottom floor basement site. Now, when it just came out, when Chalet just came back into the competitive map, what do you say?
Many moons ago.
Many moons ago, yes. I do not know how many. Someone will be able to calculate and let us know. Either way, we didn't really see the bottom floor too much. And back then we said, probably due to the fact it is hard to make an onion out of it, you know. Yep. We keep bringing that one up, or I rather.
Love onions.
I love the onions. And that means that if you lose the first layer, they are on the side already and they can go for a plant. However, teams have been starting to find ways to play around it, and it revolves a little bit around playing up on that top floor more. You need to have that dining control with this hatch. It is so much valuable pressure because you can stop the trench wall from being utilized to go for a plant. And I like this as well, that shield being placed a little bit further back. Uno on that Warden, a smoke plans, followed up with flashbangs. Not going to be super successful there. You do need to have some utility in place though to make sure that shield doesn't get destroyed by a Gone 6 or grenade, however.
Pressure coming over from the opposite side. They're going to see if they can get control of the main garage and trophy above it. There's a bit of a presence. Gorgona is finding his sort of controlled territory. A little bit under pressure here, maybe sooner than he expected. Playday wants to knock immediately onto the door of the site. He wants to see if he can put some immediate sort of countenance down, and you're looking at the Kaid that might be able to catch it if the Kaid's in a position to pay attention here. They currently aren't too close. And this wall going to get opened outside of an impact trick. Very well brought together there. And Playday, he's going to need a bit of support here.
Now I can put it further down to the right side. That should be able to get it. Maybe it would have been better to actually put it down standing there, so the impact would have to travel even further. It opens up, however, that's going to be a wall. However, further down to the right, so the plant behind the trash cans is going to be a little bit more difficult here. So if they do want to go for that side, if they do want to go for Snowmobile, they might have to dig in a little bit deeper than they might have expected to.
Well, now they're opening up the pressure of the hatch above. It's an important bit of vertical, and this is where things get a little bit dicey for the defenders because suddenly you're in a bit of a shooting gallery. The ping and the pressure is coming through. They still have the stretch and a player all the way in the bathroom by the looks of it on the far side with a bit of a double stack on Gorgona. Still underneath and still holding a huge angle. BDS, they've been able to crack some of the site, but it's a wide berth. They have to pay it because of the hold that comes through. They're trying to find a little bit of an inroad here, and it might come onto the backside of that hatch. There's a bit of a dabble of pressure, but still with that presence above, they've got to be cautious.
They're going to be cautious indeed, and there is always going to be that quick way back to the side, which is of course that hatch drop. So if Snowmobile, if Blue starts to fall, there's always the way back in, and Shaiko now taking these first gunfights on a very tight angle all the way towards the connector. It's the Lems that misses the opportunity to actually catch off the player that is up that middle floor. Gorgona in the meantime on a flank as well. Blue is still being held. Heroic, they hold on the cards here in these last 44 seconds.
Lems, he's curious and he knows he's got to win this fight. Gorgona gets the door opened for him. Can he strike through it? No, looks the wrong way. Lems gets one, looks for a second to get some revenge for the drop that came beneath them. Renshiro goes down and BDS stack themselves up on the breach. The diffuser goes cold in the snow. It's a second player and almost a second catch for Sloth, but Rafal is a little bit sharper. The Thatcher's on the approach. The pre-fire from Shaiko keeps them a little bit at bay and they're going to swan their way into the site, but Uno retakes a valuable bit of control. Lems is trying to offer some support, but you can't watch multiple angles at once, unfortunately, and finds himself drive in. Heroic pulled themselves into the lead.
Good second round there. Shaiko tried to play off the contact of the Shadow. If you might be wondering why he went for that pre-fire a bit early, the Shadow swung through the player, not quite yet. Gave away his position as a result, got picked up in the end there after he started firing with the LMG. A 2-1 Heroic leads here on the defense, and finally the bar and gaming room will be chosen. Not headed back towards that top floor, towards the bedroom first, and well, I mentioned it before. The Frost is an operator that does very often gets played here on Chalet. It might be something about the snow that, you know, brings it out. I'm not quite sure. Of course, Yacht being the map where Frost and Buck were introduced. Very snowy map.
Very
Some snow maybe here. Maybe Frost feels more at home at Chalet.
I mean, you know, you play better in environments you're comfortable in.
Exactly. So that might be the reason. I don't know. Either way, there's many windows where you can place them under. This, however, is quite tricky. If they use an explosive to open up that castle barricade, it will destroy the Frostmat underneath. So I'm not quite sure about the Gone 6, but if it is going to be a breaching charge, for example, that is definitely going to be going through. That's why you do very often see it get used on either the double window or on a hatch drop or the double window on bar where one is also placed.
Well, that one's not going to get caught in the middle of the room and hoping that BDS find themselves just a little bit too keen-eyed on what's in front of them and not really what's beneath them. And to be fair, inside the site, sometimes those surprise strikes are the ones that bite the hardest. Over the top here. They're leaning themselves in. The call on the utility that they can't otherwise remove with the Twitch drone is going to be pinged out. Sloth is in that power position above the site itself. It gives them that little bit of width, that little bit of maneuverability. BDS are usually very good at pinching the pressure onto these players and trying to pull them out of this position, but it's down to what they can do here. Renshiro on the Overwatch on the far side with the heavy hitting gun is waiting to see if they can do a little bit more before they go in. Rafal in the meantime is potentially going to go for a bit of a creep up the bottom stairs.
I was going to say, sounded very quiet there opening it up, but the camera has spotted it, so the information definitely came through. 2 minutes on that clock. BDS, they need to find an entry, and where Sloth is playing aggressively near the top of Fireplace to ensure that finds the very first kill. Rafal now coming in from below as well. There's some verticalities he's worried about, and he needs some support from Renshiro to at least make sure no one is currently watching that, and that Sloth will be locked in place. However, a double retake up on that bottom floor. Gagona finds Rafal, and that means the bottom floor has been under control now, but 2 kills come back, and Playday is going for the plant on the side already.
Hot hopped in and made their way directly towards the site itself. This is going to connect because they have the cover on the supply line. Heroic, they entirely lost sight of where the kit was, and BDS has said when they try and pinch these executes, my, they are very good at it. A very clean take there, multifaceted. They lost one body, but using the call and the knowledge that, well, we know one's here and we know that these are here, let's hit the site.
Yeah, I think what happened there, I'm not quite sure, of course, we didn't fully see it, but I think as soon as Sloth went down in a power position up top in Fireplace, the 2 players that were near, I believe it was Shaiko and Playday, they went through the hatch. They went for that default plant, and as soon as you get the Pantry into control, which was that second kill that quickly came through in quick succession, that's it, all right? It's either the hatch or the pantry. That's going to be the 2 spots where you can deny that plant from, where Playday tried to go for that action, and, well, both failed. So that means you need to swing aggressively, but the pantry already under control, it is just not going to be working out for you. And thus we head back towards Kitchen Dining. It's the side that they have managed to win before, Heroic that is, and are looking to do so again. Remember, back then, a 3v2, 1 up top, 1 below with a C4, and smokes being tossed in from afar to try and waste as much time as possible. BDS either need to be quicker onto the actual site itself, or be a little bit more careful on taking the top floor under full control.
So, a different modicum of approach here is what we might start to get a taste of, because BDS, they've learned a couple of games. And the most important game that we talked about with them in their recent playdays is how do they respond when things are going away from them. That ability to keep themselves tuned in was only really the consistent pace we saw on the last playday, after they'd suffered what was an entire reverse sweep. Here, they've taken a bit of a knock, and as I said, their response, that's the important game that we have to keep a metric and a finger on the pulse of to see just how long they can keep this up, and if they can keep that solidity that has arrived them at the destination of often being cited as the most consistent team in EUL.
Default cams have already been taken care of. They are knocking at the doors here, but not quite going to be able to put in the dent yet. They need a bit more control, and that's what they're trying to look for. The half-up, that is what they need first. There's an aggressive player, it's Gorgona, that is looking to swing aggressively with their 9mm. That is currently protecting any Mew Gemmers out there. There's a quick, way around it. It's going to be the EMP that would be used by Rafal if they want to go for a quick opening here, and indeed it seems, oh no, there is not even going to be a Mew Gemmer there. It's just going to be opened up, and the EMP dart from the bulletproof camera is a bit too late, so it's not going to stop anything for now.
Well, Gorgona pulls himself a bit further back, and remember last time when he got hyper-aggressive and it nailed a kill, it's not an easy game to play, especially if they'll be more aware of it. Shaco's trying to find a swing of pressure around onto Piano, but it's actually going to be the lock-in. Gorgona goes on an adventure, and a pre-fire leads to a kill. There's a bit of revenge for the catch that was made against him on the previous round, but it's a different operator in the same hands. Grizzly taps his toes slightly further back and pulls away from Shaiko. A bit of a loose grenade throw there, and that should got the ADS, but not the shield. I can't explain the physics of the maths. All I can know is that's a bit of a blow for Grizzly.
The first kill, by the way, that came through, a phone call came in. However, with the Mew Gemmers there, players were not being spotted out. So Gorgona able to sneak around like he just tried to do again. However, Lems and Shaiko both will be able to find a kill. And now the pressure on the site starts to rise. However, still 2 players up on that top floor for Heroic might be the saving grace here. If they do push back too many of the members of BDS, they're going to be able to retake this and stop this plan from happening.
Do they know they got rid of that ADS on the side of Grizzly, though? Because they'll see that the grenade popped off, but it didn't quite catch the shield. There's curiosities to be paid and caution in the pocket of BDS. They might think Grizzly is more protected than he is. Grizzly knows he's not, and he pulls back 30 seconds on, and they still have some bodies watching above. They've got to be cautious. They don't just try and swing the site below, because it's the game that was played before. Benja gets an important take over the top, keeps that vertical control, which was that integral piece of the final part of the puzzle on the previous attempt here. Great take from Shaiko Ram behind the double-stacked box, but it's this movement, this top control, the spray through and a response, but it stops the plant. There's a catch on a player. There's a bit of revenge. It's a 2 versus 1, but that single player is on the second story. Goes for the rotate. Can't see the body. They've moved on to the other side. A late call And that puts them in a very tricky situation here that Shaiko quickly removes him from. 3-2 BDS.
Position given away as soon as he started shooting. The pings afterwards coming through on the player out there. Of course, you try to pre-fire what you can. The timer is on 0. One lucky shot hitting the head of Playday there would have been the lock-in for Heroic, but he wasn't able to find it. And well played by BDS here. They were more aggressive up on that top floor. They only took what they needed, nothing further than that. Head back towards the side, and when they realized there was still a player upstairs and have retaken that control, you dig in deep. You get into a position where the cameras won't be able to see you, so they have to guess and try and fire vertically down below on top of you. And well, was that filled? The plant went down and a 2-on-1 emerged. Eventually BDS, the ones on top here, and Heroic, well, they want to lock this off with a 3-3, you'd say, so they headed back towards the bar side. Not the one they have won. This one was quite convincingly a Team BDS round, but it all came down that as soon as Sloth fell on top of Fireplace, the hatch drop came through and the pantry player fell as well. It was a quick succession of unfortunate events that, well, basically led Heroic to that loss. So if they are going to be able to hold on a little bit better, or if they're going to be able to be a little bit more passive, that might be their success bringer. 2 frost mats this time on that double window.
Double
and
up.
one on the one on top.
I mean, you got to make sure where you had floors before, you covered the floor in traps. It was a very quick strike from BDS. Obviously, we didn't have it on our screens, but we can run the numbers based on what we know and what we thought they knew, and that was, well, there's less of them on the site than there probably could be, and they instantly bit across that pressure and dug that site in.
Good camera from Playday. They actually spotted out Benja, I believe, up on that staircase there. Grenade failed, however, so the castle barricade will stay open, or closed rather. Not a second one to be used now. They'll come back to that later if they do truly need it. You, of course, want to take out as many as you possibly can, just to take away a little bit of comfort from the defenders with that line of sight being blocked. Sloth, of course, took a lot of damage from that door once.
And that's it. And now they're in a position where, well, they punish them from that door. It was the opening kill before, was a rotation caught underneath by Renshiro as well. And you're looking at, as you said, a lot of damage has been done on a previous round to here, but on this site specifically, they're going to have to go for an alternate take, and that's pings below. The approach is coming through across the top here. They've got the read that nobody's currently in the site on the far side. It's a very spread out grapple here, and I guess that's the difference of not being able to get that castle down.
Seems to be a completely different kind of approach here. So where they went for a library take in the first time around, they're going for a, well, office take this time. So they're looking to go horizontally up on the top floor, but not from the balconies, but from the actual walkways. And if they do find the entries again early on, that might be very detrimental here for Heroic.
Shaiko inside the smoke is going to swing with those grenades and get rid of all of that utility at the top of the staircase. Another smoke goes down. Stops any further push here, but that gives them less control over that hold, which gives less support to this pillar player, which...
Oh, the timing.
Oh, that's a timing issue there, and there's a fight back, but he wins it the second time round. In the meantime, Alem's caught out by Benja, assuming at the top of the stair set itself. There's a bit of a rotate and a recalculation here. Rafale's going to see if they can stack up and get more of a fireplace control, but the camera is pinging everything, and there's still a pillar player.
Yeah, there's still going to be that pillar player. They have no utility currently to get rid of it. They need the Gon 6, and Shaiko is the only operator that could carry it. And he takes a little bit of the damage. He does go down, will eventually be traded out, however, and it's a 3-on-3 on site. Now, 1 still in the library, 2 on the actual bomb site itself, and that is what BDS is currently dealing with. Now, the question is, do you want to get rid of Gorgona first? You only have 30 seconds, so you quickly need to go for drops afterwards, or you're going straight towards the site.
Well, Gorgona gets one, and now it's a little bit of a dangerous drive. There's at least a response and a revenge. They solidify the kill, but take a huge amount of damage during the engagement. It just takes a spray to catch them, and you're looking at 10 seconds. The drop comes down. They're flashing out every angle, which way, but there's an easy catch from Benja. Uno locks the off, and 3-2-3, which in a lot of people's Chalet books is a pretty good half for Heroic.
It's a pretty good half indeed, and the ankle holes there working out in the end on that bomb side. They knew a hatch drop had to come through. There's 2 hatches, but pantry wasn't under control, so the bar one is the most safest. You have the most opportunity of actually getting the challenge there, especially with the second player on those fireplace stairs. And a 3-3, that means we swap now. Round 6 has gone, round 7 is underway, and BDS is on the defense. First site they go to, it's going to be the kitchen dining, the most successful site we've seen so far today, as it has both times played. No, actually, it wasn't both times.
Back and forth.
It got very close.
This is why I handwrite.
Yeah, it was a quick push coming in at the end there, of course, in the bomb chassis. But they managed to at least hold them off a little bit tighter there. The first round that they won, the second one which they lost. And BDS now trying to continue the winning streak on this site. See if they can be a bit more comfortable here.
Okay, BDS, let's see if you can go after the same start that you did in your attack, taking that opening round. As I said, you know, the quick quote for a lot of people on Chalet is you expect to see a little bit more work done on your attack than your defense. These are both good attacking teams, and you know, they're both fighting in that situation in the top 4, which sort of explains it. The fact that the lowest that you can sort of fall to at this minute is, well, not really any further out of second and third, says a lot about how much work these two teams have already done this season.
Of course, it's only Playday 6 or 5 already done, but they have relatively put themselves in a good position to make it to the majors. But it can still go wrong for either of these teams. If they do start losing today, there's still a very good opportunity they might miss out. And Playday, unable to catch the drone there, I believe, is going to be feeding a lot of information out to Heroic. Flashbangs, however, bouncing back through the window. A second one will as well, so they don't have the confirmation now whether or not there is going to be a second ADS. Grenade does come through, deals a little bit of damage to Playday, actually takes care of the ADS as well, so a second one will be tossed in, and that would net to kill if Gorgona had the ankles. Will get it on the retry, but Playday should have been dead earlier there.
That's it, the Jaeger's caught out, and there's Benja really testing the end of the belt there with Finker, and doesn't quite get the grenade catch either, but forces them into a slightly further situation. Being able to hold the trigger for that long, still having 29 bullets, you assume they'll go for a reload before they go back in, but it really shows what it can offer. And off for Shaiko. Caught out at the top there, Sloth waiting and watching, finding his first for the whole game.
I was going to actually say, it amazes me how players find these heads so often, but then aesthetic piece of utility, they just struggle to hit, but Sloth's first kills. Not something we do very often see about the man. He is very often on the leading charge of Heroic, so it's good that he's in the game now here in the second half. Let's see if he can find any more. He's playing around the piano. Seems like Alems is looking to retake some of that top floor here. He also knows how important it is, but he has no clue that Grizzly is this close. He's on that flank watch, not using any of the air jabs on this door. Believe he has none left. No, so he needs to do it manually here. He needs to hold it with the gun. But as long as he's there, it's a bit of safety for the side of Heroic.
Well, Gorgona's getting some width here, and they know there's a player on the spot, but Alems, he just has to time this right. Pings come through, there's C4 that opens the bit of width, gives the game away that he's there. They're watching, and Gorgona's watching Ranchiro inside the site. A canister caught, absolutely caught out. And Rafal goes down as well. They're going to see if they can stick the plant. Alems has to go for the pressure onto the site itself, but it's being fervently watched by Heroic on every which way. It is a repeat of the first round. It is, however, a flawless in the other team's pocket.
A flawless round, a good way to start off your half here. And Heroic finding that is definitely going to be quite happy about that. Round 8, soon start. BDS trailing now. Not something that they like to see after how their season started and their wishes to still make it to that major. Of course, every point will be important in the end. You might say, well, if they lose, they're still third place. Yes, but still 2 more games to play after this, and there's still 3 more play days after this as well. So you never know if it will cost you in the end if you lose out on a match like this. What we can say, however, though, is that Heroic so far, I mean, they said on the desk, this is where the test starts to happen, right? This is where they come up against the good teams, the teams that we expect to be in that top 4. And this is where we might see them shine, or we might see them fall down.
Now, I know we sort of pointed a little bit of a finger towards Sloth getting his first kill, but it's also worth sort of mentioning the power and impact as a player he's had for Heroic season so far, because up until very recently, he was the top of pretty much every single CGG stat, including cost, including KD, and overall rating. I don't believe he's in such a position as of this moment, but he's still definitely top 5. He has been having a very, very well put together season. He's kept having these big games. So I guess if I'm going to sort of highlight the consistency side of BDS, where for Heroic, it's also sort of a part of the story of Sloth, is when he's not been having these big games, how does the team show up? And so far, pretty good. Gorgona and Benja especially have really sort of come into theirs on this game where they've been a little bit quiet before.
Would you say that Heroic might have had the same issue that BDS has had? That would have been really close to a bit of a bang there. When Shaiko wouldn't have shown up, BDS also wasn't actually playing in the server. Would you say Heroic would be a little bit the same with Sloth at the early stages of the team?
I mean, yes and no. It's always been tougher to gauge because they have had a multifaceted strike.
Is that a wallbang?
I don't know, here it is. It's a huge take. There's the response though. Alems makes sure he steps back in and doesn't let Heroic swing away with a couple of bodies, but is going to swing and swan his way down towards the basement. Put the pressure back on and kept it a balanced game. Gorgona is going to have to go for his entrance here. Shaiko has been removed and Sloth also has been removed, and well, at least he's getting into the confrontation, but 6 assists isn't usually a statistic seen, let alone one next to his name.
It's definitely not what you want either. You want to be locking off those kills. And Lems spotted out there using the ERC-7 to escape quickly in case of any other drones still being present in that basement. Playday in the pantry here is looking to find Uno. And Uno seems to be aware of his position here. He's walking, aiming down the sides, looking to be entering here. He's not actually quite aware, but still nets the kill. And that is going to be the advantage for Heroic and another roamer off the board, more importantly.
It was good. They were like pre-firing through the wall of the pantry, making sure that there was at least some noise, some caution. If it had been entirely sort of central, if it had been a little bit more direct, they obviously had an idea, and it was well played for Uno to be able to pull that together. Here, though, Renshiro is going to see if he can try and bite back. There's been a bit of time passed, and Benja with the grenade is going to try and take over some of this vertical control. But 40 seconds, and they still need to do a bit of the business and work here. We've seen how important this verticality can be and almost has been for 2 of the round takes. Rafal, with these smokes, is able to block out this immediate entrance, stops Uno, who's rotated his way around and is ready to try and offer some support to run the kit in. Benja wants to try and pinch out Alems, who's still holding that power position above, and as long as he's there needs to be something Heroic do. 15 seconds, they're on the door, they're stacked up, they're waiting to go for it, they've gone for the plant, the smoke's in the wrong place, and they're backed, he's not paying attention, he's to your right, and there he is! Post-plant situation, and that's a huge blow there. Gorgona gets one back, it's a 3 versus 2 now, and well, Benja has the lockdown on Alems above. Renshiro, he's got to try and go for a vertical retake there, a huge missed moment. It's been punished massively by Heroic. A very clever plant spot, a very clever smoke, and now they're keeping themselves at very clever distances. The spray through the ankle holds does pretty much everything but the end to Gorgona. There's the catch, there's one. There's a second on the far side of the story, and there's one behind the pillar, and the fireplace itself pulls the pin and is going to hold on, waits for the swing round, doesn't get the second. Heroic take it.
Really well played by Heroic there. They realized, okay, there is that top floor control. 2 players were up top up until 40 seconds. That's when the rotate started to come through. And you have that angle that is being watched from above. You use
unknown that somebody had been able to have the sort of wherewithal to throw themselves into it and get the stick itself. A huge missed moment there for BDS.
You're so tunnel visioned on that breach. You think that it's like the attack is going to be coming down from that breach. And you're going to be watching that, and that is what you're looking at. And we know how close some of these players are to the monitors every now and then. Just to hyper focus on your peripheral, not peripheral, on that center of your screen there. And it might have been that he could have seen him, but he just snuck by. It would have been a pixel or 2 that changed color, and well, not realized it in the end there. Not seeing that someone actually went into that smoke and gone for the plant.
And that might be. Des
we do, yes. No, Des is desperately trying to get our best poses here whilst we're casting.
I'm gonna see.
It's gonna be.
Oh, there we go.
It's gonna be giving you some previews there.
God, I'm glad I'm a comedy character. I'll say that much.
Either way, we're headed towards the bar again. BDS unable to find a defensive round here as of yet, and Heroic only needing 2 more to yet again beat one of the favorites for the European League here today. The question is, will they? Are they going to be able to pick up 3 points? That would be very good for their major run.
Well, they've got now at least an ADS to be able to take off there at the top of the stairs. They're currently looking at still a huge amount that's going to be paid as utilities sort of word of mouth towards the top with the Wamai, with the control, and with obviously, well, no longer Alems. I was about to say, with obviously them growing in power the longer a round goes on alongside the Wamai, I guess the way to pull them out is pull them out early in the round.
Well, quickly, Bulletproof has been taken care of there by Sloth. They're trying to get as much utility out of the way as quickly as they can, whilst they are starting to work towards that side. It is, of course, in the bar. The library is going to be that hot contention point, and as the pressure comes down from the top of the fireplace stairs and doors, Rafal is fully blinded with the grenade just barely landing short there. He will survive, at least for now. The drone will confirm he's still in that corner. Benja, in the meantime, is trying to dig in sneakily and deep as well, is giving himself a bit of a ping for a brief fire, but the player is long gone there. Playday well aware of someone there now.
Yeah, the reveal of the mudroom, but it's not really a position that you can sort of apply amount of pressure to unless you have a smoke in a situation or a long arm C4, especially with the door softed. You're not going to be able to do much apart from, unfortunately, go for a recheck. But at this point, Ben just realized that he's sort of in the same boat. Sure, he can sit and wait for a while and see what he can do later on, but there's more pressure that needs to be done. Let's push this man advantage. We have this grenades, we have this utility, and now we have the top of blue stairs. Camera's gone, they can start angling themselves down. They've been able to pull off plants with little to less before, and here they've got this 50-second mark as they try and swing round.
There's one there to be bomb side door towards the hallway and the library stairs. We have one in pantry. Those are the two crucial players. If Heroic manage to find those, a plant can start to happen. And with Grizzly sneaking down, he might find himself a sneak away into the actual bar here to get the kills in.
Rafal, though, he's holding off. The ping and the call has obviously come through. He's more than ready to swing his way up. There's a bit of blind, there's a bit of pressure, and there's Rafal with the smoke. He can't quite see it. The spray goes down. The player does too, and there's a quick bit of revenge. Rafal, are you going to go for the pickup here? You have a second and a moment, but every second's a risk. Instead, fires up. Shaiko finds one of his own. A long bounce of a grenade goes the wrong way, and the Chaos Uno can't get the connection. They're all dancing around a down man, but BDS is the ones who go to the ball.
It was a very painful round to watch there. 2 or 3 times we saw someone trying to go for the pickup, but every single time they do, the fight is on the side. And logically so. There was only a couple of seconds left there. They needed to go for the pushes and unable to stick them in the end. Heroic lose their first round here on this half. And BDS, they bring it up to 5-4. We're staying quite close here. We're starting to trade these rounds back and forth. Kitchen Dining coming up next. BDS looking to find the 5-5, the equalizer here. And remember the last time around, the smoke plants came through. What do they bring this time to counter that? Look at that. You have a Maestro, you have an Echo. Both of them have that thermal vision. Both of them are going to be able to look through the smoke in such situations. So even if those players are down, even if Rafal is dead, Elems is dead, the cameras might still be up. The cameras might be still able to give away that information. So the player up top doesn't need to keep on watching that breach.
Okay, Heroic, a little bit of a back and forth now has started to be on our hands. They threaded 3 rounds in a row, and it was very well put together by them, but we still have to see if we can, I guess, push this over the end, because it's important towards that final setup. As I said, the fact that these two teams could be at worst looking at 3rd place says a lot about the pressure they're putting in. But imagine ending it in 1st, and that's the conversation that you have to frame this around, and then it becomes, these are our biggest rivals, and once again, they're able to get this opener, but this time,
through the drone hole?
Even earlier.
That's true, the drone hole there. That's a very early kill, and there's a couple of drone holes in Siege that are dangerous. Think of the bathroom inside the coastline, for example. That one often nets some kills as well next to the service entrance. And this one was able to find one. As Benja goes more aggressive, he's going to be able to do quite a bit of damage to Shiro. Heals himself back up, but BDS definitely under big pressure here early on in the round.
Well, Gogona's got himself underneath. He's going to look and see if he can try and make a connection, as once again, Heroic are going for this multi-story pinch. They're trying to apply the pressure and the catch, and that's the important part about Chalet. All them windows are perfect for wrapping your hands around routes and rotations. Oh, there's a ping, there's a call, and there's a Benja going for a rotation onto the far side. Once again, it's this game of catch and cat and mouse, and, well, there's Shaiko under a huge amount of pressure, backed into a corner, and all he's going to do is try and fire straight, but Sloth, he finds a second. Same site, same place as he got his one only other kill this game so far, and last time it led to a success.
This one might be a very important one as well. Taking out Shaiko, the roamer up top. They backed him into a corner like a true shepherd with that drone, and were able to, well, lock him in there and eventually take him out. There's 3 members left on the side of BDS, and they have no verticality. And the verticality has been the decisive factor in the 1 round here on the fence. And they're missing it out now, and Gorgona starting to open up above with this buck. could spell some big trouble. 70 seconds left. The Echo still alive. The Evil Eyes might still be placed as well, so there is still opportunity for denial. But with this time running out slowly, they need to find these entrances on the side of BDS. They need to find kills on heroic members.
Sloth has been able to drive them off the site from the opposite side. They're all in the corridor, and Playday gets a huge kill back. As you said, with Alem still on the board, there's always this risk and chance, but they're going to see if they can stick it on the far side. Uno behind the chassis is going to put head to the floor and go for a little bit more. And, well, there's Gogona and Benja. And Benja instead getting it for heroic.
You're all playing in the same hallway there. What do you expect to happen? Like, it is an LMG against you. That is just going to... like, what do you expect to happen? There's an LMG on one side. You're all three in a single doorway. It's a very tight angle. That's just going to be a mouse one button there for Benja for the remainder of the round, and no one is going to be able to go through. Well played by Heroic there. They found themselves in the right position, shepherding that round. First of all, Shaiko back into that corner towards the half wall. No way out there. After that, shepherding the players off the side into that single hallway. You just attack from trophy. You take the kitchen. You take the half wall. You look in that single door. There is no way back in. That is it. You haven't opened up anything heart breach-wise for them to use. And you lock off the round. And now we're headed back towards that basement. This is the last opportunity for BDS. They need to get a win here now so they can start rotating again, start bringing it back towards the 6-6. It's only 2 rounds away. And this is one of them. The most important one. Up until round 12, then that one becomes the most important one.
Yeah, that is an important round.
But that's it right now. Every round is the most important one up until the next one comes through. And BDS, they need to make sure they do not have any of these sloppy entry deaths. I mean, losing your Maestro that early on through the drone hole. I mean, don't go there again. Renshiro, you just lost someone there. This time he lives, but it could have just as well been another kill to come through.
Well, here's a quick idea of what they want to do. The drone will reveal that there's a Kaid just on the other side. And, yep, too late. The bait of the drone. Well played there, Heroic. They get themselves in and open, and to be honest, it's food for thought. You don't directly have to drive your way through it, but opening it does more than enough to have to limit the limitations of BDS's holds.
I mean, it was a lose-lose either way, right? Would he have placed the Electroclaw? The Twitch drone would have zapped it. If he shot the Twitch drone, the exothermic would have gone off. So it would have gone off either way. As Gogona gets a kill onto Renshiro. It's yet again an opening here for Heroic. Are they going to lock it off now? It does seem like it is a good opportunity, especially with the second kill to come through.
I think Renshiro went for a hop out there. We had a split second of you're a man outside and not for very long. And this is that game. Heroic have always been aware of these aggressive plays, apart from that one, apparently. Shaiko ducked under the line of fire of Benja, gets rid of him, and the breach happens over onto the side of Red now. Both big major openings have been made, and they still have so much time. They can drop the diffuser, go for a rotate, and reposition to the heart's content. They still have the man advantage, and they've been able to remove a couple of big players. Rafale on the Echo is a worry. You can see the drones repositioning, but Heroic can just position theirs.
I think they're going to go for a bit of a flank here. So 3 players are near the trench. We're going to have one that is near the snowmobile door. As soon as the push comes through from Grizzly to try and get the diffuser down, Uno is going to strike them right in the back for the round lock off there. That is going to be the plan. These drones are all in a position here to call out. One spotted. It's also watching the connector there, so they know exactly where everybody is currently.
Well, here it is. 3, 2, 1, go is going to be the break. That grenade does the damage. They go for the swing round onto the first. Playday instantly locks it off, and Shaiko with the split, and Shaiko with a trip. He's able to get himself on the side there. Uno snuck in, but at that point, the welcoming party on the other side that opened up the horse found the men inside and said, no, thank you, keep it off of our site.
I had the idea right. It's just that the outcome that wasn't quite the one that got locked in there. They had the man advantage, just the Banshee.
Who are the front runners of the region? You want them to be able to read each other. You want them to be able to respond to each other and sort of have a bit of a back and forth here. And it's definitely one of those games where, sure, we could have maybe had an 110% from individual players, but we haven't. We've still got a good 90% across the board, which, to be honest, that consistency has always been a big problem for the region.
Yeah, and Shaiko popping off here, or at least, you know, he's leading the charge for BDS, is truly keeping them in this game. Because if you look at the overall way this game has gone, I think Heroic has, or should have, a clear lead. but it's 6-5 currently, and that means that BDS is fighting back. They are winning these rounds that maybe they shouldn't win if you look at it on paper, but they have these incredible players. All 5 of them, 1-for-1, know how to clutch. They all have that clutch potential, they all have star player potential, and they always make it back into these games, and that is why BDS is BDS. That is why BDS is our benchmark, because of that resilience. And Heroic are trying to, well, still lock this one out, because they are the better team today, I feel, but they have a little bit of a struggle of getting these last final kills.
Basement camera drops again. A little surprised that they will prepare for later, potentially. And that's the main thing. Remove the intel away from the players. It's an important rotate that can become a huge strike. And if it's an entire blind spot, you think of how many cameras are on that floor. Oh, none now. That is the entirety of a player area taken off the board of them. And, well, how do you respond to that? Do you try and get some of your own eyes inside the prize, or do you see what else you can do?
Shaka very smart here. 2 drones saw him. He didn't actually shoot them. And whilst his magnets have been shot out, he knows as well he's not quite prone to someone instantly jumping in, but he can still respond to it because he didn't shoot these drones. But he might be trying to bait out some utility here. 2 magnets placed, remember? So 2 flashbangs can come in, but also 2 grenades. And that is maybe what he's trying to bait out. I'm not quite sure. As an EP comes through, though, that is going to be an almost successful grenade. And he will be caught either way. So a small oversight coming in from Shaiko there.
I guess one of the drones did see him and, well, they sort of took his bait and said, he is one of ours. Now, what can they do with this pick? It was a very well played trap, and they've got to see if they can try and close it out now. 4 more players and another story to break their way through. They're looking at the control here over the top floor. Rafal and Renshiro are still in those 2 power positions. The removal of Shaiko doesn't actually change the structure of what this hold is. There's still a lot of work to be done. The spray over the top and a bit of a response from Rafal, but the grenade sort of says goodbye. And, well, there's an intense removal of 5 versus 2. And suddenly they're finding themselves slipping further away. Alems, he's trying to find his way back round to the site as Benja's holding off above. Gorgona wants to go for the swing. The single player on Pantry could be a big part. Iruno's hoping that he goes for the swing on the other side, but he needs to wait for another person to offer him some support. Alems, he's waiting. He's holding onto this angle, but he just pulls off at that final second, expecting a take from the stairs itself. It's Playday caught on the drone. They know he's there, so he moves elsewhere.
Stuck.
Close on the wall there, close on the door. Uno, do you know how close he is? Could take the hop, but nobody likes to fight and shoot when they're going over a small ledge. It's got to be the time. There's the catch, the bait on the play there. Hot hopped over. Alems is still locked out on the other side. He's got a pretty impossible task ahead of him, but at least catches the first. They know exactly where he is and prove it. Heroic. They're able to lock it off with a pretty stellar performance and a sigh from Sloth, but you can't win them all, so at least the rest of your team can.
The fireworks, actually, no, it's not the fireworks, it's the bucket lead animation. Sounds like fireworks coming through there, but well played by Heroic. And just to break down that last round, Shaiko saw the drones, didn't fire on them, all magnets placed towards the library side. Those drones that did sneak through did see